Again, this is Brian Kelly speaking. Thanks for your participation today. CloudGenera's webinar focused on cloud cost planning. Today, we're going to walk through the following agenda. First, we'll start by providing an understanding of the current cloud cost planning ecosystem, an understanding of what's available in terms of tools and in terms of process to help businesses with better cloud cost planning. Then we'll transition to two topics. First, topic focused on optimizing existing applications for the cloud. It's clear to most businesses now that there's a challenge when you attempt to migrate applications to the cloud. The lift and shift strategy in particular is something that we'll touch on briefly, but we'll spend most of our time focused on opportunities to achieve better economics of leveraging cloud services. Specifically, how businesses can better take advantage of pay for use and non-production, how businesses can ensure they're getting the best price for performance, and third, how businesses can take advantage of existing investments as they transition workloads to the cloud. The second topic will focus on avoiding unneeded expenses for born in the cloud applications or new application deployments in the cloud. The challenge in this arena is cloud makes it very easy to deploy, but it's very hard to predict and to govern costs. So in this part of the webinar, we're going to focus on opportunities that allow businesses to select the right worker node configuration for containers. This is a highly specific use case, but one that we see as being very prevalent in the market these days. We're also going to discuss how leveraging PaaS alternatives to infrastructure can help avoid costs. And last, we're going to introduce a new topic from CloudGenera, the ability to forecast spend optimization opportunities based upon the usage of cloud. Let's dive in by focusing on today's cloud cost planning ecosystem. Today, CloudGenera is one of the few players in the market that focuses on predicting future expenditures in cloud and finding opportunities to optimize expenses associated with cloud. That said, there are alternatives available in the market. Alternatives such as vendor tools, like the Amazon Cost Explorer and the Microsoft Cost Management Solution, and Google's providing BigQuery as a way to aggregate your historical usage and your billing. Frequently, these vendor tools are complemented and supplemented through the use of spreadsheets and consulting. And that's really because today's cloud cost planning ecosystem focuses on a specific vendor, and it focuses on historical views of your spend. And while these vendor tools are providing some simplified forecasting capabilities, they lack the intelligence to predict how to optimize spend and how to best plan for costs associated with cloud usage. In addition to the vendor tools and the spreadsheets that are available in the market, we still see several businesses not being proactive in their approach to cost planning. And this is resulting in budget overruns as well as unneeded expenditures. Conversely, CloudGenera's point of view is that as a company, we want to provide an unbiased view of the market. And that unbiased view should not have a bias towards vendor, nor should have a bias towards operating model. Think private cloud versus public cloud when we say operating model. CloudGenera also envisions a world where this type of analysis can be automated. You shouldn't need to stitch together multiple tools and manual process and manual effort to determine if you're getting the best value for your spend, to determine if you've planned appropriately for the expenses you're going to generate as a business. So CloudGenera provides visual analysis that's automated, including automation around staying current with what the providers are offering in the market. CloudGenera is also forward-thinking in its approach to cost planning. What should happen versus what has and will happen. CloudGenera thinks of itself as the windshield, showing you the options ahead, where most of the tools in the cost planning ecosystem today focus on the past. The combination of these values of being agnostic, automated, and forward-thinking provide a value that shortens time to decisions. So with CloudGenera, our tooling, our platform helps people discover, analyze, and identify actionable outcomes quicker. Now let's talk about the first of our two topics today related to cost planning. First, let's talk about optimizing existing applications for the cloud. If you're not a born in the cloud company, you have existing investments in technology. Those investments might be running in data centers you operate or own. They might be running in a co-location facility. They might be managed by an outsourcing organization. What we've seen over the last several years is that there is a true cost to lifting and shifting those existing investments to cloud. Those existing technology investments, when lifted and shifted to the cloud, typically double an organization's annual total cost of ownership. The good news is that it doesn't have to be this way. Even without rewriting and replatforming your applications, there are techniques, there are strategies that you can implement to optimize your costs when moving workloads to the cloud. And the first tip we're going to talk about today is implementing automation so that your so that your business can benefit from pay-for-use cloud licensing models. As a bit of background, the biggest opportunity CloudGenera sees in the market is around non-production environments. These environments are rarely used 24 hours a day and 365 days a year. In fact, our data from analyzing hundreds of thousands of applications per year suggests that these environments typically are used 50% of the time or less. Yet when businesses migrate applications to the cloud, they're rarely implementing the automation that will enable those businesses to benefit from pay for use. The solution? CloudGenera advocates documenting the frequency and duration of usage for these non-production environments. By doing so, your organization can identify the potential to eliminate costs and at the same time justify the investments that are needed to implement the automation that will allow your business to benefit for pay for use in the cloud. Here on this slide, there's an illustration of a single virtual machine and the difference between letting that virtual machine run all year long in a reserved instance running in Microsoft Azure versus implementing automation so that that workload is instantiated and decommissioned when it's needed for use and when it's no longer needed for use. That could translate in this simple example to over 50% savings, total cost of ownership on an annualized basis. This is a very common use case that clients utilize the CloudGenera platform for. One of our clients, a top 5 American insurance company, performed an analysis to look at their non-production workloads. And what they found was that transitioning their non-production workloads from perpetual use to on-demand service models in Azure generated over $7.5 million in annualized savings. Several months ago, when money was cheap and everybody's focus was on growth, opportunities like this may have been de-emphasized. Today, in a recessionary climate, what we're seeing is much more attention being paid to the spend, not just in cloud, but across the board for businesses. Leveraging this technique of implementing automation so that non-production environments are only running when they're in use can drive real savings for a business. And here in this example, you can see it's a 51.85% savings opportunity. After investing $2 million in automation, business is still saving $7.5 million a year. In that first year, they would net over $5 million in savings. So real money, real opportunities to save by implementing automation. And of course, the CloudGenera platform helps you visualize the business case to drive that investment to achieve that benefit.